I'll do the countdown.
Hello everyone, welcome to the chit chat about IMK Insurance, IMK Super Top Up Insurance. I am Piyush Jain from BGB 11. I'm your host today, and we will be discussing the Super Top Up Group Health Insurance Policy. Now, this is an important milestone in our journey to make sure the well-being of all our fellow alumni. During this session, we will be talking about the terms and conditions, the coverage, the benefits, and we will elaborate on all the questions that you have for yourself and your family. We had received a number of questions, and we have compiled them all. We'll also be taking up those questions during the discussion as we go through the entire session. Uh, the flow of the session will be first. I'll introduce about the super top of insurance, basic premise of the policy. We'll then discuss about the conditions of enrollment, benefit exclusion, and then we'll go for the claim process. After that, we will do FAQ at the end of every slide or topic that we are covering. So keep shooting your questions which are relevant to the topic that we are discussing or that you're seeing at this screen. Uh, we today we have Bodhain Paul from Zopper Insurance, who will be answering most of the questions for us and who will be taking us to the flow. Bodhain heads corporate business solutions for Zopper, and he is a very experienced benefit specialist. He has majorly worked in insurance domain for over 18 years, including the top-notch brokers and companies like Willis Tower Watson, Marsh, Reliance, ICICI Lombard. Bodhain is also an IIM Bangalore alumnus. He is an elected member of the Executive Council of the Alumni Association, and he is also leading similar effort for group insurance policy at his institute. So I'm sure we are getting the best that we can, just not at IIM Kozhikode, but at IIM Bangalore as well. And this is an initiative which is going across institutes. We also have Harleen Kaur from Jopper, who will be working closely on the execution of the policy. I'm thankful to Alumni Association for taking this initiative, and I dedicate this initiative to alumni and family members who suffered, and some of them we lost in past. I'm thankful to the team consisting of Anchit from PGP 9, Rohit and Ravi from PGP 8, Mayank from PGP 10, who is also a co-founder of Zopper, and Ravi Girdhar from PGP 8. Welcome everyone to the session. Bodhayan, welcome to the team. I would like you to take over the session from here. We'll start with the terms and conditions who can cover themselves in the call.
Yeah,
Over to you,
thanks,
Bodhayan.
Piyush. Thanks, Piyush, for such a kind introduction. And a hearty good morning to every one of you. So what we're going to cover is has been documented by Piyush. We would follow the same guidelines accordingly. So today we are here to discuss about the Super Top Up Health Plan, which has been structured by IIM Kozhikode Alumni Association. The stalwarts who have structured this are in this panel and who had put in a lot of hard work, a lot of efforts. They've lost a lot of good night's sleep, and post that, this is what is there in front of you. And what the objective of today's session is basically that you understand the coverages, you understand the terms and conditions, and then if you have any queries in your mind, we are here to clarify that. And ideally, we want all of you to come up and participate in this program, because that is where the success of this program would lie, and that is where Anchit, Piyush, Rohit, Mayank, and others who are from your side of the table, would feel privileged that yes, they were able to do something for their alums. Setting this context, I would move on with the presentation. So I work with Mayank closely. Mayank is my co-founder for Zopper, and Zopper has been working very closely with IIMK Alumni Association to structure this. Along with me is Herleen, as said by Piyush. So all of your queries which are getting answered by Herleen, and she would be the one who's taking care of the servicing side of things. So we will move on with the presentation. Uh, so the objective behind why IMK, Alumni Association wanted to come up with a super topper plan, very simple. There was a session earlier. I would draw some leaf from that. That there was a deliberation on why not a base policy. There was a deliberation on why not a top up, and then finally we zeroed down on the super top up. So the best thing about super top up is that you can deal with it on an aggregate or accumulative basis, and that is one of the basic advantages. And to make this plan affordable for all the IIM Kozhikode alums, what the Alumni Association also looked at was to see if we can put in a small deductible which might help in reducing the premium. Can we come up with a better than market waiting period? So in an average, the market waiting period varies between 4 years and can come down up to 2 years. So we were able to negotiate a 1 year waiting period and yet get a reduction in premium. And overall, try and design a plan which is not there in the market, which is only for the IIM Kozhikode alums and their family and their parents. And at the same point in time, are we able to structure a plan, which makes good sense in terms of the premium and also in terms of the high value sum insureds, and also many of us, want to cover our parents. Are we able to cover them? Are we able to cover our in-laws? So that is the basic objective. So Piyush, Anchit, you want to add anything on this slide from your side?
I think this is what we wanted to explain. The premise came from the events that were happening around us. We lost several alumni where we in several events we collected a lot of money for everyone. However, it is always difficult to get large amount of money collected. Most of the time people are insured or can afford a smaller amount of expenses, maybe to the tune of 3 lakh, 4 lakh and 5 lakh. However, bigger expenses are difficult to cover. So that was one of the bases where it is where we need to cover people for extreme conditions which generally occur with senior citizens, parents, or even with young people when many extreme cases might happen, like liver failure, uh, where super top up fits the best bill. Most of the people are generally covered in a base policy, and even if they are not covered, it is easy to collect money from friends and peers or from family members as well. And that's again sums up to what the objective of the policy is. Thanks.
Right. Thanks, Piyush. So, there's a basic caveat when we talk about this super top up health insurance plan, that there's some honesty and trust which is expected from the IIM Kozhikode alumni. And that is because of the basic principle of insurance, which is utmost good faith, quote unquote. So it says that whatever we declare, the insurer is going to go by that. And if it is found that whatever we declare is not right, then at a later stage, the insurer can come back and reject a claim. So this principle is called utmost good faith, and what we expect, the alum to declare everything. Please declare everything, all the pre-existing illnesses. So we have been getting queries, mails, where you wanted to update us on the PEDs and all, and we are getting them, charted across in our documents. And please cover both your parents if they are alive or both your in-laws if they are alive. The idea behind it is to avoid anti-selection. So anti-selection is not permitted in insurance. We cannot only choose those whom we feel that they would take the claims. That way, the claims ratios are always going to be higher and the policy would become unviable. What is expected? These are two basic premises. One is please declare everything, including your pre-existing diseases, including of you and your family, if any, and also ensure you cover both your parents and your in-laws if they are alive.
Just want
Okay.
to add there,
So,
Bodhan, we have put in a place the process that if we cover only one parent while both are alive, we will not allow at a later point of time to add the other parent. So that will make sure, however, we trust the data that we are receiving from all the others.
perfect. Perfect. Thanks, Piyush. So now we move on to the coverages of this policy, which has been specifically drafted. So the first thing which comes in is who all can be covered in the policy. So you can cover yourself, your spouse, and up to 4 kids in one particular policy, and then you can cover your parents, up to two parents, and then you can cover up to two parents-in-law. So if suppose I am an alumni of I am Cozy Code and I want to cover my immediate family, I want to cover my parents, I want to cover my in-laws. So suppose I choose a sum insured of 1 crore. So in that, me, my spouse, up to 4 kids gets covered there. Then there's a separate 1 crore that I can choose for my up to two parents, and then there's a separate sum insured that I can choose up to two parents-in-law. So this is basically the family definition, who all can get covered into it. And what are the age criteria? So the age criteria for self is 18 to 65 years. So entry age is 18 of an alum and can go up to 65 years. For child, it is 91 days to 24 years. For parents, it is 51 years to 85 years. So entry age for parents is at 51 and can go up to 85. And you know what is the best part? The best part is there is no medical checkup required before buying this policy, and that is fantastic because in the market, if you want to go and avail something for your parents, it is compulsory that they will have to go through a rigorous medical checkup. And if some of us, in the group are above 40, I'm sure the underwriters will come back and also insist that we also go for a medical checkup. Now, this is a fantastic thing that there's no medical checkup required. The policy tenure is for a year. This policy will come up for renewal next year again, and accordingly, it will get renewed. One of the good things is that the spouse definition also includes MX, which is this policy also covers LGBTQ partners.
So before moving further, Bodhan, we have few queries. I think there are few alumni who have recently joined or who did not read in detail about how Super Topper works. So we can have a
Okay.
basic explanation about how Super Topper works. Will it work? Or does it need a base policy? Does it not need a base policy? What happens when we have a base policy, and what happens when we don't have a base policy? So if those basic questions can be answered, it will be helpful.
Right. So I will explain this way that when we look at insurance, what we look at is a base policy normally in the market, and when we talk about our employer sponsored insurance, that is also a base policy mostly until and unless it's a super top up or a top up also. And the base policy is basically the your first policy which you should resort to in case of requirement of a claim. The base policy can be a corporate mediclaim, which is provided by your employer. The base policy can be your individual policy that you have for your family or for your parents. And the base policy does not have a concept called deductible. So we have got innumerable number of questions, seeking an explanation on what a deductible is. I will come to that. So base policy does not have a deductible. That means that you can straight away go to your base policy and start using it. But what we have found is the sum insureds in the base policy are normally on the lower side, 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 7 lakhs. So, ideally, looking at medical inflation, which is at 30%, which means that if I go for a heart operation, say this year, at one of the known hospitals, and if they charge me 1 lakh, they're going to charge me 1 lakh 30,000 next year. Medical inflation is 30%, and post COVID, the medical inflations had gone through the roof. All of us are aware of that. Keeping that into consideration, the market came up with products like top up and super top up. And ideally, I personally feel that a super top up policy is the best possible option in front of you, because it is the right balance between the premium and the right balance between a higher coverage. So for example, if I am an IIM Cozy Code alum, say my name is James Bond, So we have an illustration for deductible, where James Bond is one of the alums. So I'm just getting into that alliance. Yeah, that's the screen that you see. So James Bond. So I want to take a super topper plan, but uh, do I need a base plan to get into this super topper plan? The answer is, if I have a base plan, that is good. If I don't have a base plan, I would have to pay the particular amount from my pocket and then become eligible. Up to the deductible, I have to pay from my pocket and then become eligible, to claim in this super topper plan. So ideally, Piyush, to answer your question, is a base policy compulsory? No, it is not compulsory, but it is good to have. All of us want to avoid out-of-pocket expenses. So, in case of a claim where up to, if I choose the deductible of 3 lakhs and I have to shell out 3 lakhs from my pocket to avail benefit into this policy, it is preferable that I have already a base policy that will take down the load on me. However, a super topper plan, what it does is, in this case, it's going to give you a sum insured up to 1 crore. I can take a very high sum insured, and there are two deductible options: 3 lakhs and 5 lakhs. So the concept of deductible is that, say, if my deductible is 3 lakhs, that means up to 3 lakhs, this policy is not going to trigger. Beyond 3 lakhs, this policy will trigger. Now, Piyush, can I take this deductible scenario illustration here, since this is relatable?
Let's do it.
As
Let's
we
do it now.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we have got innumerable number of questions in terms of how the claims are going to work in this policy. So ideally, we have prepared a scenario analysis for you, and this is very, very important. Please shoot any questions that you have on this. Very important to understand this. How this actually illustrates how this policy is going to work in case of multiple claims, in case of multiple claims from my multiple family members. So we have an alum named James Bond, and the family definition of James Bond is that he's there in the policy, spouse is there, and up to 4 kids. Then James Bond has two parents that he wants to enroll, and James Bond has two parents-in-law that he wants to enroll. Now, it is understood and communicated back that the sum insured that I choose for me in my family definition, I have to choose the same sum insured and the same deductible for my parents and for my in-laws also. So, in this case, if James Bond has chosen 50 lakhs as sum insured and 5 lakhs as deductible, you will see that the same sum insured and the same deductible applies for his two parents and applies for his two parents-in-law. Now, if you look at the claim scenario analysis, the first claim, which hits on, say, for example, hypothetically, 1st May 2022. So this policy is going to get issued on 31st of March. So we have taken dates post that. So the first claim gets issued on 1st May, gets registered, and the claim amount is 3 lakhs. So ask when we talk about the plans, ASK is basically alumni, spouse, and kids. That's the plan. When we talk about ask, that's the plan that we will refer to. When we talk about P, it's the parents plan, and when we talk about PIL, it's the parents-in-laws plan. So the first claim that happens is on the immediate family of James Bond, and what we see there is that there is a claim of 3 lakhs on 1st May 2022. So immediate question is, will this policy trigger? The answer is no. The policy is not going to trigger, and not a single money is going to get paid, because if you look at on the extreme right hand side column, the deductible is 5 lakhs. So the reason for this claim not getting triggered is that it is less than the deductible, which is 5 lakhs. Now there's another claim on 10th of June on 2022, which comes in of 7 lakhs. And the claim is of James Bond's parents, one of the parents. The 7 lakhs claim, is the claim payable? Yes, the claim is payable. But to what extent is it payable? It is payable to the extent of 2 lakhs, because the deductible is 5 lakhs. So 7 minus 5 is 2, and that is the amount which will get paid in claim 2. Now, if you look at claim 3, wherein on 7th of October, there's another claim of 4 lakhs, again on the James Bond's immediate family, which is his spouse, and up to 4 kids. So, is the claim payable? The answer is yes, the claim is payable, and the payable amount is up to 2 lakhs. Now, you might want to ask why and how is this happening. So, if you look at the explanation, If you do a total of claim 1 and claim 3, you will see that claim 1 it was 3 lakhs and claim 4 is 4 lakhs, so total 7 lakhs, which got registered here. So in this case, what would happen is the balance 2 lakhs will get paid, because 5 lakhs being the deductible, 7 minus 5 is 2. Another claim comes in, say, on 10th of November, 10 lakhs for one of the parent-in-laws, or maybe for both. In this case, is the claim payable? Yes, the claim is payable, and the claim payable amount is 5 lakhs, which is payable above deductible. Another claim, which is the fifth claim, which comes in on 3rd of February, is of, say, 20 lakhs. Something very serious happens in the family, and one of the parents get hospitalized because of that. Will the claim be payable? Yes. And what would be the payable amount? The entire 20 lakhs will get paid. And the logic behind that is that if you add claim 2 and claim 5, it is 27 lakhs. So we have already crossed that deductible in claim 2, so we need not cross that deductible again, and that is where the super top-up policy comes in on an aggregate basis. If you remember, I talked about this on the first slide. Hence, the entire amount of claim 5 of 20 lakhs is payable. So this illustration sort of gives you a brief idea in terms of, multiple claims, multiple family members, how the policies are gonna react back.
So behind questions here. Question
Yeah.
number one. This somehow seems that the sum insured 50 lakh is separate for alumni, spouse, and kids as a group or as a floater, and it seems separate for the parents, and it seems separate floater for parents-in-law. Am I right in
That is
understanding this?
correct.
Okay.
That is
All
correct,
right.
Piyush.
Let's say there's a claim 6 at the end before the policy ends, and the total sum insured total claim is around 50 lakh for parents in that uh, time. So what will be
Okay.
the amount which will be paid uh, as a claim?
So in the same example, this example of James Bond, you're saying?
50 lakh for parents uh, is claimed again.
No, the claim 6 is the same example that we are referring to, right?
Yes, in the same example.
Yeah. So if you look at, the deductible is already crossed in the case of parents.
Hmm.
Now, what we have to see is, if this overall sum insured is 50, how much have we paid? So we
Right,
have paid 20 in one of the claims, and we have paid 2 in the other claim, which was in claim 2.
right.
So in case if there is a 50 lakh claim, we would still be able to pay 50 minus 22, which is 28,
Okay.
because overall it's the sum insured minus whatever is available.
All right. So this means that the total payable will be 50, and there's a deductible of 5, which means this is 55 is the maximum that we can spend using this
No,
policy.
no, you will get a coverage up to 50 lakhs only,
Right.
but deductible is 5 lakhs. So this policy will not trigger before 5 lakhs. It will
Right.
trigger only after 5 lakhs. But after 5 lakhs, you can claim up to 50 lakhs.
Right. Got it. So it is
So,
not
yeah,
45. Essentially, it is not 50 minus 5. It is 50 over and above the 5 deductible.
correct, correct. That's the correct understanding.
All right. Great. So now we can move on to the terms and conditions once again. Coverage condition, there are questions. So one of the questions is that someone has a parent who is right now 84. So is it the right time to cover? Can we cover parents who are 84 right now and can keep on covering them later on? And if I have a parent who is 70, can I cover them later as well?
So ideally, if someone's parent is at 84, our entry age is 85. Please ensure you cover your parent, because either ways for 70 plus senior citizens, it's very very hard to get a medical cover in the market, and whatever you get, has a lot of cappings and this and that there. This is one of the best constructed policies, understanding that, and secondly, they will not have to appear for any medicals. Yes, you should definitely enroll your parent. And the idea behind understanding the age that goes in insurance is the age you will consider as your last birthday. So suppose if somebody is 25 years 2 months, then your age will be considered as 25 years in the premium chart, or it is 25 years 9 months, it would still be considered as 25 years. So the age calculation will happen always on the basis of age as last birth date. So if somebody is 84 years, some months he is still 84, which would get considered in the premium table. Please go. For 70, yes, definitely you should look at getting into this coverage. Citing the example that it's very hard to get this kind of coverages readily available in the market.
Use an alumni wants to cover parents this year and then wants to cover in-laws the next year. Is it possible?
Ideally, yes, it would be possible, but then we have to ensure that we cover both of them if both of them are alive.
Okay. All right. I think we can move to the
Yeah.
next slide. This we have covered all the questions.
Okay. So coming back to the policy coverages, there a cashless facility? Yes, there is a cashless facility, and they are available at the network hospitals, which are in tie-up with our insurer, which is CARE. And you will get a list of network hospitals wherein you can click on that and choose certain things. Okay, I can see a question from Harshal, which has come up right on the screen. If base policy is not from CARE, then can we get cashless? If not, and if the expense is huge, say 20 plus lakh, and partial claims be submitted as waiting for full treatment to complete will be huge. So, Harshal, I understand you're referring to a large, high value claim of say 20 lakhs. And maybe I'll take an example that you have a base policy of say 3 lakhs and you have a 3 lakhs deductible in this case. So ideally, you will avail your base policy first, and then yes, you can enroll for a cashless in case it is under a network hospital. Understanding it's a high value, and what would be required is some document which shows that you have made that payment of 3 lakhs, because the deductible calculation would come in, and once that can be done, you can avail cashless at a network hospital from this policy as well. I can see other questions popping up. Piyush, do you want me to take them right as I see them on the screen?
Sure. I think these are the relevant questions right now, so we can keep
Sure.
on answering.
Sure. So Saurav asks, can in the same hospitalization both the base and super topper be used? Absolutely, you can use it. In case you're in a network hospital, you can actually apply for a cashless. In case of a non-network, yes, you can pay the base through cashless and maybe come up for a reimbursement for the super topper. Yes, you can. The answer is yes, you can.
So from
Okay.
the previous
So
question,
yeah.
Udayan, from the previous question about the cashless for a large claim, does it make sense? So there are two cases when I have base and super top up from the same insurer. In that case, if I make the claim, I can use both the policy at the same time for cashless. However, if the insurer is different in the two policies, the base policy as well as the top up super top up policy, should I make a claim in super top up first when the claim amount is very high? Because it will make sense that because my out of pocket expenses will not be very high at that point of time, and I can manage my own funds. And then whenever I receive the documents, hard copies documents from the insurer, I can make the claims from the base policy. Does that make sense?
Yes, it actually makes sense because you should avail cashless for the sum insured which is on the higher side, or from the policy which is giving you higher coverage. Only thing is, in this case, up to 3 lakhs, then that person will have to bear from his pocket and show the receipt of that, and then avail cashless from super top up, and then again maybe whatever is paid from his pocket, he can file for reimbursement in the base policy and take it back. And that's actually a smart way of doing it.
Or cool. We have one more question from Arjun. In the earlier FAQ that was in the previous talk, we had answered that cashless is not possible, is only possible in case insurance and TP are the same. So I think this now we have answered. Cashless from
Yeah.
both the policies is possible if the insurer is same, while cashless from only
Correct.
one policy is possible when insurer is different, and we have to make sure where we can have lesser out of pocket expenses from the base policy
Yeah.
or from the super top up policy. So we will have to do that calculation and then choose the policy accordingly.
Yeah. Idea is to leverage whatever we have in terms of reduce the out of pocket. That would be the idea, and we can use either of the policies accordingly.
Okay. All right. So we'll take the next question after we cover this slide till the end, and then we'll take up more questions.
Right. So coming back to the policy coverages, yes, there's a cashless facility. I was talking about the network hospital list, which will get shared along with this presentation. Back to you. Is there a reimbursement facility available? Yes, it is available. Now, what is very interesting about this policy are the sum insured options. If you see that it starts from 10 lakhs, you can avail a 15 lakh, you can avail a 20, 25, 30, 50, 75, up to 1 crore. So, boss, this is phenomenal. This is not readily available in the market. Looking at the sum insured options, and in case you have a base policy, even if say up to 10 lakhs, nothing stops you from taking a 75 lakh or a 50 lakh or a 1 crore for your family. The medical costs and the medical inflation, looking at everything, is definitely going to go high every year after year after year. And the most important point to understand is we are not growing any younger. So the sooner you are able to enter into an insurance policy, you will be able to save premium in terms that if I enter an insurance policy at the age of 25, I will pay X. If I enter an insurance policy at the age of 40, I will pay X plus Y plus Z. And beyond 50, it would be A to Z, A plus B plus C plus X plus Y plus Z. So the younger age at which I can, or the lesser age at which I can enter into an insurance, medical insurance policy, I should do that, because I would be able to pay lesser premium and avail a higher sum insured accordingly. So quickly, these are the premium charts in front of you. Okay, I can see a lot of screen changing in front of me. Okay, the premium charts. So when we look at the premium charts, there are the options that I talked about is, Plan A talks about up to 2 adults and up to 2 children. Plan B talks about single parent or single parent in-law. And if you can move on to the next slide, please. Plan C Plan C talks about up to 2 parents and 2 parents-in-law, and Plan D talks about up to 2 adults and up to 4 children. So basically, the you calculate your age as last birthday, choose your deductible based on the every sum insured has two deductible options, 3 lakhs and 5 lakhs. And we have been getting a couple of queries on our helpline ID, wherein some of them are asking about the premiums. We have calculated back and sent back to them. In case of any queries, any difficulty in understanding on the premiums, do write back. We will come back to you. We'll move on to the next slide as well. So we have covered this. Yeah. So there were a couple of points there which we need to talk about. Daycare treatments, are they covered? Yes. So ideally, for this policy to trigger, the basic caveat is that at 24 hours hospitalization minimum is required at our end. And having said that, the daycare treatments do not require 24 hours of hospitalization. So you fix up, you enter a hospital, and you come out of it in 2-3 hours. Yes, there are 541 daycare treatments. The list, is a clickable link. You can click and get the list on this presentation. All of them are covered. Yeah, is it happening only with me that I can see a lot of screens moving, or Piyush?
They moved actually. So let
Okay.
me put a few questions now till we settle on the slide movement. That's also one
Yeah.
of the uncertainties we may have apart from the health uncertainty. So question, Krishna Prasad is asking, I have selected plan A and plan B
Hmm.
and single parent, both having deductible, which is common. Will I be able to increase the sum insured in future?
Sorry, I missed it completely. Can you please come
The
back,
question is,
Piyush?
can I increase the sum insured in future?
Yeah, you can increase your sum insured, you can't decrease it. So
Okay,
suppose I choose 50 lakhs this year, I will have to choose either 50 or a higher sum insured
okay.
in the forthcoming
Can
renewals.
I change the deductible at a later point of time next year?
Yes, you can, depending, but the sum insured has to go up.
Okay. Can so let's say I have a new family member in plan A, which is so I got married and I now the spouse is new in my family. Can I add new spouse in the policy? It, and when can I do it?
Yeah. Yeah, so these events are called life-changing events in insurance parlance, and there are two such things. One is you get married, and the second thing is a new baby comes on board, a new child is born. In both the cases, yes, they can be added into the policy. After the event, it is expected that within 7 days or 10 days, please come back and let us know with all the possible details, and then we will get them added into the policy accordingly.
Do I have to make payment for that extra payment?
So ideally, in this case, if you have chosen, say, the first definition, which is up to two adults and two kids, so there will not be any additional payment. But suppose you already have two kids in your family, and then this is the third kid, then you will shift on the other table. So there might be a difference in premium depending on how the situation is.
So for marriage and first and second childbirth, there's no change in premium. You don't have to pay anything extra. For
Correct.
third child and not even fourth child, we
Hmm.
will have to make extra payment because there is a difference between two child versus three or four children.
Correct. Correct.
All right. We have more questions. How does the premium change over years? Does it change with age? Does it change with anything else? So there are concerns. So let's say I am 30 years right now, and after a few years, after 3 or 4 years, will my premium change?
So ideally, for this question to be able to answer, what we will have to look at is that the next year premium will be dependent primarily on certain factors, and one of the major factor is basically the claims ratio in the current year. So when I talk about the claims ratio in the current year, so if suppose I'm Code Alumni Association arranges for X premium that we collect from the alums, and the claim is say X plus Y, in that case the premiums will go higher to the extent proportionately they would get calculated, because the basic underwriting starts from claims, then the medical inflation comes into question, then there's a concept called IBNR, which is incurred but not reported, which comes into question, and then the entire underwriting happens, and based on that individual premium comes out. So the premium computation, it would be difficult to predict whether it will go up, it might come down as well depending on the claims ratio. And one of the major successes of this policy would be if we are able to get more people on board. So more the people, and in that case, the insurer gets the confidence. Yes, so many people are on board, and at the same point of time, for larger policies, we have seen the claims ratios with more people on board. Basically, not everybody is going to claim. Hence, the claims ratios come down, and then accordingly, the premiums come in accordingly. Now, having said that, if you look at the premium calculation, there are age bands basically given. So yes, if I'm moving into the next age band, definitely the premium is going to increase. But will it increase in the same manner as it is depicted in this year's thing? No, because of the other underwriting parameters that I have explained. So you will get a new premium chart next year based on all those. Was I able to answer this, Piyush,
Yes,
satisfactory?
I think this answers very well. So again, I'm going back to the previous one of the previous questions that I asked. If I cover, let's say, my parents-in-law next year, so the
Hmm.
waiting period starts this year, right? Waiting period for there's a waiting period in the policy for existing illnesses and several other illnesses. Will my parents-in-law, whom I will cover in the next year, will will they face the pre-existing exclusion next year, or will they not face that pre-existing exclusion?
They
How does
will,
that work?
because they will. They will. There's a 12-month waiting period. So if I'm talking about James Bond as an alum, so James Bond takes for his a policy for his immediate family, which is him, his spouse, and up to two kids. Then next year, they're in case they have any PEDs, that's in the next year policy is gonna get waived because the 12-month waiting period will get taken into consideration. But if James Bond wants to enroll his parent-in-law or mother-in-law, say next year, In that case, what would happen is that's a separate policy, and that person will also have to go through that 12 years waiting period to be able to avail the pre-existing diseases.
So essentially, every new addition in the family has a waiting period applied.
Not in the immediate family, but yes, in the parents and in the parent-in-laws. The plan definitions are like that. So
Okay.
ASK, alumni spouse kids, that will be considered one policy.
Mhm.
And it is expected that you would have added your members here. And on the parents' part, if you want to take them next year, they'll have to go through. So their PED waiting period starts from next year, and same for parent-in-laws.
So, except the life-changing events, others have to face the pre-existing 1 year whenever they join. That's the starting time of exclusion of pre-existing disease.
Right. That's right.
Uh, we have good. We are getting a lot of questions now. So I think let's move on to the next slide, and then we can take up more questions.
Sure. So we have talked about the premium charts. We'll move on to the next slide. This we have talked about. So we talked about LGBTQ coverage being there. Yes.
We have one more question from Venkatesh. There's an answer given on the YouTube channel. Amount chosen per person or cumulative? Are they cumulative for all the members?
Yeah, they're cumulative for the plan definitions. So for basically alumni, spouse, kids, they would be cumulative. For parents, they would be separately cumulative. For parent-in-laws, they would be separately cumulative.
No.
So if you refer to that example that we talked about on the deductible thing, that explains clearly on the cumulative part as well.
There's one more question from Arjun. Is it better to take higher cover now itself, or better to gradually increase the cover as we age? I think that's a good question.
So
While choosing the sum insured and deductible.
yeah, so ideally, my experience says, which is considerable in this field, and it says that if you are getting an option of choosing a higher sum insured, please do take it, because next year you will be 1 year older, your slabs might change, the underwriting module might change, and they might become costlier. So day in and day by day, the entry into higher sum insureds are going to get costlier. If you're getting an option to enter into a higher sum insured, please do get it.
So, Bodhayan, some can you give me some tips on why should I choose 3 lakh versus 5 lakh deductible, and why should I choose 30 lakh versus 1 CR sum insured?
Okay, so for deductible, it is basically the comfort that I have with my base policy. So in this case, I can either choose a 3 lakh or a 5 lakh. So if I already have a base policy, most of us might have something from our employers, which might be a 3 lakh, might be a 5 lakh policy. In that case, preferably my suggestion is that if you are covered in the base policy for 5 lakhs, you choose 3 lakhs deductible, because in insurance it never happens that it is 2 plus 2 will become 4. So what we normally think, that if I have a 3 lakh base policy, I will or say if I have a 5 lakh base policy, I will take a 5 lakh deductible in the super top up. There are always some deductions which happens even in your normal base policy and all. So it is better that if you are covered for 5 lakhs base policy, you choose the lower of the deductibles which is there, so that you get an early entry into this policy, or this policy triggers earlier. That being one of the suggestions. So ideally on the deductible side, choose the lower deductible amongst the options. In this case, it's 3 lakhs. And against a 30 lakhs and a 1 crore, so we have seen a very bad year behind us, wherein a lot of things happened in terms of medical costs going up. The costs are still on the higher side. Medical inflation by default being so high, and if you are able to cover your parents, your in-laws, your family, it is always advisable that you choose upwards of 50 lakhs, 50. This is something that I also advise to the employees when I do sessions like these for all the large corporates. Ideally, what I personally feel, that somewhere between 40 to 50 lakhs is the coverage that you should look at on a yearly basis. for yourself and your extended family. And if you are getting an option to enter into a 1 crore, please take it, because next year you may not have that option. That's the only way to answer that.
All right. So by the way, I am taking I'm going for a 1 CR since I have a large family, and I seek to cover the utmost risk that we may have. So an addition I would like to add the events that we have seen in last few years, as well as we are seeing around us. We do not know when somebody will be diagnosed of any deadly disease, including cancer, and that's the point when we realize things are happening very suddenly, and those are surprises for us. So it is advised that we should cover uh, each family member as much as possible and as soon as possible, because events are unknown to us. We do not know what's happening inside the body, what's happening inside the mind. It is always important to at least have the financial backbone ready, so that we take care of the expenses. If not the person, we take care of the expenses, and this is where the insurance comes into play.
True. And one
We
more point that I would like to,
mhm.
yeah, Piyush, one more point that I would like to add here, and which is very important to understand, is that the policy which has got structured here for the I am Code alums, and I am an expert in this field. I do this day in and day out for corporates, for alumni associations. I will tell you this is structured above benchmark, and when I say above benchmark, benchmark is the average concept. These coverages, the deductibles, the lower deductibles, the premium that has been we have been able to negotiate together. This is much above benchmark. Given a chance, please get into this policy and take a higher sum insured. There is no such policy out there, and this is a very, very noble cause. Put yourself into it. If you think about, if you are hesitant, is it going to add value to me? Insurance never adds value. You only realize it when you get hit by the bus. So when you're getting an option to get onto the bus, please get onto the bus. That's the logic.
All right. So I think we did not announce who is the insurer, who is the TPA, and what is the role of Zopper here. So maybe we can take this question here. Go
Sure.
ahead.
So the insurer is Care Health Insurance, which was earlier known as Religare. They had a brand name change, so they are known as Care now. There is no TPA. The Care has an internal TPA, so it's basically Care as the insurer, and Care has its own TPA. And Zopper Insurance Brokers, are the ones who have helped conceptualize, build this plan together with IIM Kozhikode Alumni Association, get the rates. So we are insurance brokers, and this is what we do day in and day out, and we would be there to service this policy as well. So you'll get those policy details and escalation matrices from Zopper once you place the policy or once the policy gets issued.
All right. So the Hanshu Datta has a question, which certainly is a question which might create some anxiety. So
Mhm.
let's take care of that piece of anxiety for all of us. So, Sudhanshu says insurance companies stop policy suddenly after 2 3 years, and it's a loss to us. We waited for 1 year,
Mm.
where the waiting period was there, and when eligible for claim insurance, so the insurance got stopped. How to mitigate that risk? How will we take care of that piece? I think this is a very important question. This might be happening in retail insurance, but I think group insurance works differently. So and
Yeah. So
I understand even in retail insurance, this can be taken care of. So let's for the benefit of alumni, let's talk about both group insurance as well as retail insurance.
yeah. So ideally, hi Sudhanshu, we have been receiving a lot of queries. I remember your name particularly. Herleen had replied back up to a couple of queries to you. It's really nice to see that you're taking so much of interest. And now coming to the question that you have raised, yes, policies do get dropped off, but one very basic thing that we will understand here is that just like RBI is the regulator for banks, the watchdog for banks, so we have a regulator in the insurance domain called IRDA, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority. And ideally, how it happens is the retail products are all file and use. So when we say file and use, quote unquote, it's that the product gets approved, it gets filed with IDA, gets approved by IDA, and then they start selling it. For the group policies, it is use and file. So it's the other way around. So we structure the policy first, we sell it, then we file it back with IIDA. So for the retail policies, yes, policies do get dropped, but IIDA does not allow them to discontinue that plan, or else what at the max that insurer can do is migrate the existing set of people to a new policy. And what happens is, particularly the PEDs do get taken care of. In case you had any such bad incident where the did not get considered, then typically you should fight back with the insurer, because IIDA does not allow. IIDA takes care of interests of the end consumers very, very categorically, and it is there in written that ideally, if a product is getting discontinued on the retail side, the insurer will have to come back and give another option of a product. Might be costly, I'm not sure, but cost is not the concern. The option or the choice will be there to the person to migrate to other plan and also continue their pre-existing disease benefits as well into the plan. Now, this being the retail side of it, on the corporate side of it, we don't see any such risk like this, because on the corporate side, as Piyush had correctly highlighted, it's a and as I talked about, it's a use and file kind of a product. So the policy can only get discontinued on a group scenario. Say if we say pay 100 rupees premium and there is 1,000 rupees claim, that the policy becomes unviable by the insurer. In that case, this kind of a scenario comes. But in my entire history of last 18 years, I have not seen one policy getting cancelled. What happens is the same insurer might not come back and renew. We do find other insurers in that case. So ideally, your the point that you're trying to highlight here makes sense, but not to that sense here, because we will take care of that based on the grounds that I have elaborated.
So Varun Madan is asking if I can add parents, then remove them next year, and then add them again. Is it possible?
So ideally, Varun, why would you want to remove your parents? So if you get an option to add your parents, please do it. They are also not getting any time younger. Please keep them in the policy. It is very, very difficult to find medical coverages for your parents and your in-laws because of the age brackets that mostly all of them are into. I would advise against taking them off. Please do keep them in the policy.
Right. And as per the policy, so just to add, as per the policy, if you remove someone from the policy, you're not allowed to add them back. This also goes against the basic premise or principle of the insurance, where
Correct. Correct.
we are covering people as and when we feel that they are risky. So it doesn't make sense. The basic premise is that the insurer pays back the money that they have collected from us as a pool. And if we are putting only risky people, that means the insurer will not survive in any case. They'll have to pay that money out of the pocket. So the policy will not survive in that case. So we should make sure
Yes.
that we cover them at the time when we don't know about the risk, rather than when we know about the risk.
True.
Chinmay has
True.
a question. This is, I think, this is very important question. Many alumni are living abroad now. What is the key consideration? So they might be living with parents abroad or parents in India. Let's cover both the conditions. How does it make sense for us to get those people covered? And
Okay.
this is
So
again a condition where people living abroad have a lot of anxiety about the well-being of their parents in India. So how can we take care of them?
right. So ideally, the geographic purview of the group mediclaim policies in India are India. So first thing is, if your parents are staying with you abroad, you might have to look out for some insurer there. But in case you are abroad and your parents or in-laws are in India, which is mostly the case that I have seen, in that case, this policy makes fantastic sense. Makes fantastic sense, and choose a lower deductible, which is 3 lakhs, and choose a very high sum insured. That will be my suggestion. And then this policy is going to trigger post the deductible. You can avail cashless. So everything else is in place. So ideally, if you have a parent or in-law or parents and in-laws in India, but you are settled abroad, this policy makes perfect sense for you.
Just to add, I think you'll have to cover yourself as well, even though you
Yeah,
are not in India and not using it, but it is mandatory as per terms and conditions.
right.
It is in any group policy, the person who is attached to the group as an alumni is it's mandatory to cover the first family. Uh,
Yeah.
Suraj Clark Prasad, we have question from Suraj. He's one of our esteemed alumni who knows the PM as well. So we have question from him. Will the out of network claim be honored as parent may be
Yes.
in small town or village?
Yes. In that case, you will have to come back and file a reimbursement claim.
So if it is out of network hospital, let's say a small hospital in tier 2, tier 3 town, we will have to make the expense out of pocket and then we can claim it. However, what I see, the network of in general, the network of care is very large. It covers across the country. It covers hospitals across the country. Most of the good hospitals out there are covered in the network. So I think there was something was happening in different WhatsApp groups. Let me make it clear there. Uh, People. So we had shared the link for searching the hospital. It seems like that link is not working properly, and we are not able to search hospitals over there. So please be rest assured that hospitals are covered, even Max and other hospitals which we were not able to search. So we are already talking to the insurer uh, to correct the technical issues in the website. The network is quite high. Mostly, you will figure out that all the good hospitals are there in the network.
So just
Sajan,
to add, Piyush, yeah, just to add, Piyush, there are 8,000 plus hospitals in the network list of care, and this network list is a dynamic list. So these keeps on changing. So as rightly highlighted, there might be a small IT issue that's going to get corrected.
Sajan wants to know his father is 92. Can I enroll? I think that's
Yeah.
not possible.
That's not possible because the maximum entry age is 85. In that case, it would not be possible. But one thing that I would like to highlight here, that the last day for enrollment is tomorrow. Please take that into your minds. This is the opportunity to get into the policy. If you have not been, please register, please enroll. Tomorrow is the last day. Beyond that, the window is going to get closed and no other queries can get entertained because we have to get into the policy issuance side of things. And till tomorrow you have time. Please do enroll via the link that you have and get into this policy. This is one of the best which you have already in India.
I think this has happened with lot alumni. The question that Prasoon is asking, he already bought the policy but did not add parents. Some people did not add parents-in-law. So do I have the time now to add them, or should I add them next year?
No, Prasoon, you should add them this year only. You have that IIMK helpline ID. Please drop a mail. Harleen will reply back to you on that and we will take care of it.
Right. So that will be a manual process as of now, but we'll make sure that by the time we close the enrollment period, you are able to add whomever you forgot to add by mistake or
Yes.
knowingly. Uh, Please send out an email, connect with us, and we'll make sure that your people are covered. Jay has another
Yeah.
question. Does the coverage cease to exist if I am no more? Can other in my family continue to get coverage by paying the premium? I think this is very, very important since we have lost few alumni over a period of time. Uh, can we cover the family members since alumni is no more there? However, that they still are the family of alumni. So in past as well as in future, I think we have we this is the question that we need to answer.
So we will be able to cover them for that particular year. In the next year, we'll not be able to do that. However, in case if both of them are alums, then the policy does continue next year as well.
Uh, okay, so here I'll pitch in. We will be, Bodha, and I think this we got recently. We will be covering family even after the alumni gets deceased, uh, as
Okay.
they keep on paying the premium.
Okay. Right.
So that's a correction, recent addition. So we will be covering all the alumni, even alumni and their family members, even after the death of the alumni.
Right. That's a fantastic move.
Siddharth Ramachandran has a question. It was mentioned earlier that waiting period would apply in case there is no base policy. So could you clarify that? What is the waiting period for different conditions? So I think let's move on to the slide of exclusions and waiting period. That will be that's the next topic we have to
Yeah.
cover, and there are many more questions which are.
Yeah. So waiting period applies for pre-existing diseases, which you will look at. So we can skip these FAQs basically because we are actually doing the FAQ on a longer session. Yeah.
Yes. And anyway,
So
we'll be sharing this presentation with everyone. So you will be able to go through all the questions, FAQs, and answers. They're already covered in the sheet.
yes. So waiting period applies for the pre-existing diseases and the specific diseases. So currently, on the pre-existing diseases, you can see these are the ones which are listed on a broad level: cancer, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, respiratory disease, any disorders of the endocrine system, diabetes, any neuromuscular disorder, pancreatitis, any kidney, urinary tract, reproductive organ disease, any disorders of blood and or immunity. This being a broad definition of pre-existing diseases, we have been getting queries. People were asking for specific queries. Is this, going to qualify into the waiting period, or is this covered? Based on what we are doing, that is, we are taking it back to the insurer, checking it with them, and replying back one to one. In case you have some other disease in your mind, do write back to us. We'll check and come back. These
So,
are
Bodhan,
on a
can
broad
you
level. Yeah.
hmm, can you
Yeah, please.
also tell the definition of pre-existing disease? What does it mean? Let's say
Right.
I don't know whether I have any disease. So is it uh, is it that is that disease will be taken as pre-existing disease if I later come to know after 2 months?
So, if you see, the insurance policy starts, and we started the presentation with the second slide where we talked about declare everything that you have.
Hmm.
So, on that, we categorically talked about declare your pre-existing disease. So, for the first point is, if I don't know that I am having one of the pre-existing diseases, I can't declare, right? So that being one of the cases, but to ideally explain what a pre-existing disease is that if I have ever got treated, or I have a medical history which can be traced. So even if I have seen a doctor and the doctor has issued a prescription saying that this guy has high BP or diabetes or any of the respiratory disease, or I have got treated for a cardiovascular disease, I have got a stent done, all these things. So all these things will qualify under pre-existing disease. If there is a medical record primarily available and I don't declare that, then what would happen is the insurer would find it out at the back end that this guy had a medical history and he has not, or she has not declared it. Hence, the claim might get rejected. So basically, a pre-existing disease is something for which I have a medical background based on the broader diseases which are listed right on this slide. If I have a medical history, I have a medical background, I should declare it. That would qualify as a pre-existing disease.
Okay, all right. That's good to understand. So there are some diseases which are also excluded for 1 year, right? Can we
Yes, so
understand
we
more on
have
this?
that. Yeah, we have that specific diseases. If we can move on to the next slide, please. Yeah, so specific diseases also have a waiting period of 12 months, and these are mentioned right there. There are 15 such specific diseases like benign prostatic hypertrophy, cataract, fissure, surgery of genitourinary system, all types of hernia, hydrocele, hysterectomy, internal tumors, skin tumors, cysts, nodules, polyps, kidney stone, and varicose veins, genetic disorders, Parkinson's, surgical treatments for benign ear, and any treatment related to arthritis and osteoarthritis. So these are the specific diseases which will also have a waiting period of 12 months.
Okay, these are generally the common diseases which go for a longer period of
Yeah.
time. Okay, so one
Yes. But
interesting
how?
question
Yeah.
has come. Yep, you want to add?
Yeah, I wanted to highlight one single point. If you go and buy a policy in the market, the waiting period is normally 4 years. In this case, it's only a year, only 12 months. So get into this policy. There is no such policy which is giving this benefit.
Yes, I think this is one of the things that when we have taken a waiting period for a year, the premium cost have reduced drastically. It was over twice the cost, at least twice the cost,
Yeah,
twice the premium amount. So
yeah.
I think we will wait for a year for at least these specific diseases, and then we have a full coverage. So more and more people, if more and more people join today, next year they'll not have the waiting period. There's an
Yes.
interesting question that has come from Rahul Jain. I think, could you explain why pan is included in non-smoker question? Most of us end up selecting yes, despite being non-alcoholic and non-tobacco user. I think pan is something which we might have after a party or at times, and not a daily as a daily consumption. So could you clarify what does it mean that so if I consume pan not so frequently but occasionally, will it be considered as a pan consumption?
So ideally, the underwriting, these are sort of the underwriting modules based on which the pricing gets determined. So if you are a light drinker or you're a heavy drinker, there'll be an underwriting cost on both the cases. If you are a light tobacco smoker or a heavy smoker, then again the underwriting loading is going to come in case of heavy. In case of pan as well, so I think maybe it's linked to the same line that the question is put there. So there might be a case that you might get a call, telecalling from one of the doctors of care, and they might ask how frequently you have it. In case you say that I have it occasionally, I don't see a loading coming into the picture for that. But ideally, please declare. That's what the saying is.
Okay.
Please declare, and then things will be categorized properly.
Okay. All right. So Suraj asked, can someone have two super topper policies? And after one topper is exhausted, can IMK super topper be used?
Yes, you can. You can, but ideally, if you have a super top up with a lower sum insured, ensure you have a higher sum insured in this super top up. It should benefit you at least in some way. So choose a higher sum insured, say 50, 75, or 1 crore in that case, because mostly these higher sum insureds are not available in the market. Or if they are available at exorbitant rates. So that is your call, but I would insist that yes, choose a higher sum insured in case you want to go for two super top ups.
I think we have covered most of the questions. We can move on to the next slide, and
Yeah,
meanwhile, I'll figure out if we have more questions.
yeah.
Sajan has a question.
Yeah,
Is hip
that's covered.
replacement covered for parents?
That's covered. In this slide, we see the daycare treatments that I talked about, where you don't need to spend 24 hours in the hospital because the procedure demands lesser time. So these are 14 such daycare treatments, but actually the entire list is of 541 daycare procedures. If you click on that link where it says click here for more details, you would get that list. So all these things do not require 24-hour hospitalization, and they stand covered in this policy.
So there's one more question which came, which is not related to this. The question is, will the insurer remain same next year, or will it change?
Ideally, we try to keep the same insurer, but suppose the same insurer comes back and quotes double the premium, and there is somebody else, who is matching the same coverages and is quoting less. That's a call that needs to be taken and decided. But at the same point of time, as long as the same coverages are getting continued, the PED is getting, absorbed into. There is no such risk. So that's an underwriting call that needs to be taken, because ideally if the same insurer comes back and your premium goes 3 times, then you are going to come back to the alumni association and charge back, boss और कोई option नहीं मिला क्या? So that's the option that we will have to explore next year, and take a call as we pass that bridge. We can't comment on that now, but yes, might be different. most of the times we try to keep it as the same.
All right. Uh, okay, I think these are good explanations. So let's go to the next slide. We already have been over 1 hour and 15 minutes. So we'll take more questions. So here we
Yeah,
have a
we
list
can
of
move on.
network. Yeah. I
Correct.
think it is across all the cities, tier 2 and tier 3 cities. We will be sharing a list separately since the search feature is not working. Now, let me ask more questions which are related to claims as well as related to overall policy structure. So, one thing which we missed was around ATD, benefit in ATD. How does
Yeah.
benefit in ATD work? Will we be able to claim that benefit?
Yeah. So as long as you're paying the premium for your family and your parents, you can claim a tax benefit under Section 80D.
Right? But we cannot claim it for parents-in-law.
Yeah, the law or the regulation doesn't allow that. So
Okay.
you
So
can
as
claim
of
only
now,
for
the law
yourself.
doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
As of now, the law doesn't allow. I think we should go and talk to the income tax minister to do that from next time onward, so that we can, along with the well-being of our families, we also see some benefit in terms of the ATD section. So if someone is there, I think we have several alumni from income tax department who work for income tax department. I think it makes sense to reach out to them to make that available, make that benefit available from next year onwards. Then we have, so will we be getting separate receipts for each enrollment member for income tax purpose, or will we get the single receipt?
We will come back on that. So we have started working on the policy issuance based on the data. So we will answer this question maybe in a day or two once we are able to get that clarity from CARE.
Okay. However, means what my understanding is from the income tax purpose in section 80D, it asks specifically whether you have paid for yourself or whether you have paid for
Hmm.
yourself and parents, and whether you have
Hmm.
paid for yourself and parents who are senior citizens. So there are three
Hmm.
different sections over there.
Correct.
Even if you get different receipts, you will have to add it up. If you get single receipt, again, you will have to put in the same value. So it may not make
Yeah.
that sense. However, means this is from the limited knowledge that I have about income tax.
Yeah, you're correct on that.
All right. Uh, Somebody asked whether it is an annual plan or it is a lifetime plan. So I think this is an annual plan. We have to make the payment every year. This is not one time, and premiums will
So
keep changing.
Piyush, I would like to answer it this way that nothing, is lifetime.
Yeah.
अभी चांस मिल रहा है ना अभी घुस जाते हैं अभी ले लेते हैं नेक्स्ट ईयर मतलब you never know this plan whether entry will be possible or not. So this year once it is designed, please get into this
Mhm.
lifetime है या नहीं. Yes, we will try to see how long this happens
Mhm.
depending on the rules regulations whatever is available in India.
Right. So Komal has a question around if we pay premium on 28th March, can we claim it for the next financial year? I think from if you want to take it up, Bodhain.
So this has to be part of this financial year only. That is my
Right.
understanding.
Yes, I agree on that. And for this time, since most of us might have filed the those who are employed, they will have declared already, and their compensation team might have taken that into account. However, so what I did was I took a screenshot of the payment and shared, and that was taken as
Hmm.
a valid proof
Hmm.
rather than waiting for
Correct.
the insurer's receipt. Those who have not done that, they need to they should make sure that they file that while claiming for while doing the IT return form and claim the amount. So one third of the premium at least, I'm sure people will get as a refund. And from next year
Yeah.
onwards, you can make the payment a bit early and or maybe use the previous year's receipt to show that we are in continuation at your employer and we are in continuation with the insurance policy, and that helps at most of the places, except in cases where employers are very strict about showing the required proof. So uh, so in case you have some issues, you can get back to us.
Yeah, and one point here, Piyush, that normally insurance policy को लोग एक tax benefit instrument की तरह ही use करते हैं. They use it that way.
Right.
But the value proposition of this particular policy is so strong that
Hmm.
despite if you have overshot your tax benefit requirements and all, do get into this policy looking at the value proposition. Next year you claim the tax benefit. I am talking about the worst case scenario where you are not able to claim back the tax benefit. Even in that case, you should enroll it because of the stronger value proposition which is there in this policy.
Liz has a question that hopefully dedicated helpline for alumni and all related issues around hospitalization will be provided as
Yeah,
insurer provides for corporate.
yeah.
So there will be. You can reach out to us as well individually in case there are some issues through the helpline. But we'll make sure that we have a dedicated helpline which is spontaneous and on the toes for you. There's a question from Vinod Shankar Narayanan. One thing that I did not understand: do each plan need to be added on the top of each other? Like Plan C, for example, already accounting for Plan A. So
I'm
Plan
not
C.
able to answer this question, Piyush.
Okay,
Is
so
he asking that does he have to pay separate premiums? If then yes, because the tables are different.
So if there are four kids, we have to go for. If we have four kids, then we have to go for the last plan where four kids plus
Right,
spouse and family is there. While if we
right.
have two parents, then take the two parents or two parents-in-law policy twice for parents as well as parents-in-law.
Hmm.
While if we have only one parent, then take one parent and one parent-in-law wala policy once each. So they
Hmm.
add up. So essentially, there's a floater for first family, which is alumni and the spouse and kids, and then there is a floater for parents, and then there's a floater for parents-in-law. This is how
Yeah.
these are
So
three separate sum insured as well as
right.
three separate premium.
Yeah. So ideally, one plan for immediate family, alumni spouse up to four kids, one plan for up to two parents, and one plan for up to two in-laws.
Right. There was one question that we missed. It came on the screen. So I'm looking for more questions. Meanwhile, so Sajan has already a policy with base 5 lakh and 95 lakh top up. Will this be additional?
So he has a base policy of 5 lakh and 95 lakhs top up.
Yes. Will this be additional?
So he has it for whom? He has it for himself or also for his parents?
Yes, I think that's the question we can ask. If parents are not
Mhm.
there in the top up, then certainly
Yeah,
this will make sense. You can
this makes
move
great sense. Yeah,
from the 95 live top up to this one. However, waiting period will apply. Porting is not allowed here.
yeah,
Waiting period will apply. But if
yeah,
parents are there, then I would suggest that you keep continuing for with your personal policy.
yeah.
Vijay has a
Correct.
question. Any plan for term cover? I think this is what we will be announcing. Uh, at the end, so we will make an announcement very soon around that. We have answered most of the questions. Somebody is asking whether uh, uh,
So Clark has put in his recommendation. We can see that. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So
This is
Clark
true.
will have
Whatever he's written, this
certainly,
is true.
yeah. By the way, Clark has authored several books as well. We should read. All of us should read. Those who have not read, I think they should read.
Fantastic. Thanks, Clark, for your recommendation for this. There's a lot of hard work, which has got into building this policy. It feels nice to see an acknowledgement from the other side. Thank you.
This question from Santosh: does Zopper provide base plan as well?
Piyush,
So
you will have to answer that, I think.
okay, all right. Yes, Zopper can provide base plan as well. However, as an alumni, I think this is the first step. Moving forward, as we get more feedback from alumni, so we knowingly did not get a base plan because number one, most people are already covered at one or the other place. unless they are not employed or they are running their own startups. In such cases, base plan, or it is not provided by the employer. In such cases, there are alumni who are not covered. However, that number is as of now not very high. So in the first year, uh, we wanted to attack the most important problem and the biggest problem, which is taken care by the super top up. So maybe if we get more feedback from alumni, if we get a good number of alumni together, we can go for a base plan as well, along with the super top up. For this year, it's a no, but for next year, we can think about it. Sure. So reach out to us personally, those who want to have a base plan. Then from the data points, we will figure it out. Gautam has a question in the first query session. A complimentary 25 lakh personal accident cover for the primary member was discussed. Is this included in the final policy? And how will it work? Will it also get triggered after 5 lakh? So Gautam, this year we did not get the accidental policy. This will be a separate policy, and we'll come back to you on this. We had proposed that, however, there were some reasons because of which we could not float that out along with this insurance policy. Any which way, there was a separate premium for that policy. So as and when we come back with a plan for accidental, we will get back to you. Ashlyn asked, do we have to declare all diseases our parents have? Say 10 years back, heart issues, or only declare pre-existing diseases in the recent history. So,
So
Bodhayan,
yeah, yeah. So ideally क्या होता है कि जो प्री एग्जिस्टिंग डिजीज होता है लाइक डायबिटीज 10 years बैक रहता है तो अभी भी रहेगा until unless we have done something magical about it. So the concept is simple that if you are aware that and there's a medical history, so please declare that irrespective of how many years ahead, how many years ago.
okay. By the way, the clause, I remember reading the definition of pre-existing. It applies 48 months before. So within last 48 months, there was any disease which was existing, that has to be declared for sure. Others you can declare by mentioning the period. It will be helpful. And for
Yeah.
again, for everyone's benefit, we have a fitness group where people have taken care of many diseases, from spinal injury to diabetes, and now they are disease free. So I would suggest that on
Wow.
the top up, on the super top up, there's a top up of fitness group. Please be a part of the fitness group of IIMK Code. There are people, including myself, who have taken care of their diseases and are now living happily, healthy in their life and doing wonderful. So I hope and wish that you don't need to use this policy ever, even though you keep paying, but you don't get to use this policy. Vinod has a
True.
question. What is the coverage period? 28 March to
So the
27.
policy, yeah, the policy start date is 31st of March. So it will be 31st to 30th.
Okay. Question from Karan Bhatia. I think, okay. In extreme scenarios, Zopper itself has to wind up. That's not going to happen. Zopper is growing big and big. Mayank is right now not there on the call. So talk to Mayank about his plans and expansions. But in any extreme likely scenario, if it has to wind up, will there be continuity for the policy, including renewals? Yes, we will make sure. So Zopper is an intermediary in terms of a brokerage service. So brokerage, just like insurer, brokerage also can change at any point of time. So we will make sure that there's a continuity for all this.
Yeah,
Uh,
I also wanted to add here, Piyush, and to all the alums that we require your blessings. We are going nowhere. And, Zopper is already sort of a good name. It's going to be a very big name. You're going to hear a lot of positive news about it in a month's time on fundraising. So things are very, very good. We are going nowhere. But in the worst case, suppose we are no longer there, this policy is still going to continue as Piyush talked about it.
so in case if people are looking for a job, also connect to Mayank from PGP time. Mayank
Yes.
is looking out for the best people. So that's an additional assurance, as well as just not health assurance but also job assurance. Richa asked, is cancer, dental, maternity, mental health expenses covered? So I think, yeah, this is very, very important question, Bodhain. Cancer, Hip knee replacement we already covered. Dental, maternity, and mental health expenses. So can we talk about that in detail?
Yeah. So dental and maternity is not covered. So dental is normally an exception in almost every mediclaim policy in India. That's sort of available in US, but at exorbitant premiums. In India, dental is an exclusion. In this policy, also dental is an exclusion. For maternity, why it is an exclusion? Because the deductible of this policy is 3 lakhs, and until and unless there's a very severe complication on maternity, which will get picked up by this policy, normal maternity expenses ranges between 50K to 1 lakh. So either ways, that's not going to qualify because of the deductible. So hence, that will not be a part of this policy.
Some gyan, additional gyan, maternity is not an unknown incident. It's a known and planned incident, and it's not a disease. So generally, group insurance policies cover maternity because that happens and the expenses. So it's kind of a hook for the employment and well-being employee and well-being of the employee. So you'll not see maternity being covered in retail plans or in the basic definition of insurance. Maternity will generally not be there. However, complications, as Bodhayan mentioned, complications which are life threatening, those are covered, which arise out of maternity. So the policy will cover those, or maternity will not be covered specifically. Mental health,
Yeah,
and when you
subject.
talk about mental
Yeah.
health things.
Yeah, so mental health is covered, but then mental health, this policy having a deductible of 3 lakhs, I wonder to what extent, and based on a very, very severe case, only this policy is going to trigger, because mental health may, the kind of, the thing which happens is more on the psychological consolations and the medicines. It does not require, as in hospitalization. In case it requires a hospitalization, it's a very, very severe case, and beyond 3 lakhs, that will get picked up. So the deductible is the key here. In case it crosses 3 lakhs, yes, it's going to get covered. In case it's less than 3 lakhs, your other base policy might be able to trigger there.
Ashleen, can you highlight the exclusions in the policy? I think we covered that, but still, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, so war and terrorism are by default, the exclusions in any policy in India. In case of you require the policy wordings, do drop us a mail. We'll send you across the care policy wordings, which talks about all the exclusions.
Okay, all right. Will Ayurvedic treatment, so Ayush specifically, be covered? I think the cost is generally low for Ayush treatments.
Correct.
So they, can you talk about the terms and conditions which are mentioned anyway regarding Ayurvedic or Ayush treatment?
So Ayush, is gonna trigger. Ayush does not get picked up in this policy again, as Piyush rightly said. It's like equivalent to maternity expenses on the smaller side. The expenses are on the smaller side, but in case you're going to an Ayush, even if you want to claim it in any other policy of yours, ensure कि आप गवर्नमेंट अप्रूव्ड आयुष हॉस्पिटल पे ही जाएं या आयुष केयर सेंटर पे ही जाएं, which is government approved. Otherwise, that you're not going to get anything out of from the other policy as well. It's very, very critical to understand this.
Okay. Amrit Singh asked, if my corporate policy does not cover my parents, do I need to buy a base policy for parents separately?
If you want to buy, you can, but it is not a compulsory parameter here. Even if you don't have a base policy for parents, you can still enroll them here with a deductible that you would want to choose.
Okay. Amit has a question. What is the claim rejection ratio for care? Is so. I think here we also need to make a point around whether how will be the claim rejection or claim acceptance criteria that will happen for us.
So ideally, I talked about, yeah, I got the thing, Piyush. So ideally, this is regulated by IRDA, and in case I have only seen mediclaim cases getting rejected, wherein there's a dispute between insurer coming back and said, "Aapko to you had this pre-existing disease and you did not declare it at the first go, and you violated the principle of utmost good faith. Hence, we will not pay this claim." Other than that, I have seen almost every claim, getting processed. So their claims ratios are upwards of 99% on the settlement side. You need not worry, and we have very high level contacts with the entire care as an insurer, and that was one of the reasons, based on their pricing and their capability, that they have got selected by Alumni Association as well as the insurer for you. So you are in good hands. Don't worry. Just get into the policy. Don't worry.
All right. So, just adding the context here, Bodhain, I think we have had discussion about insurance claims getting rejected in several alumni
Yeah.
WhatsApp groups, and I have been talking to many alumni behind the scenes during the inception of policy, before the inception of policy. There have been cases where claim have been rejected wrongly. However, just I want to add, there are few things that we have to keep in mind. Always read the entire policy by yourself, so that we know that what is covered, what is not covered, what is covered in what condition. Then you will, if by any chance claims are rejected by mistake, or by any intention or intentional rejection by the insurer or the claiming team, you will writing back to the insurer always helps and supports. uh, the another benefit that we have is that we have a good network. So we have people, alumni in almost all the insurance companies, either alumni or friends of alumni. So we can reach out to them. We can certainly reach out to them and get the rejected claim again accepted. However, that should be logical. And I personally have helped several people, including alumni, to get a few claims which were wrongly rejected accepted. So in case if you have problem, feel free to reach out to any of us, to the support team, as well as to any of us. However, on the top of that, I would certainly also ask you to read insurance policies end to end. Make sure that even your kids read those policies. This is some good practice from financial management perspective also, and making our life better, so that we read and understand and we are thorough with what we have, what our rights are.
True.
We have many more questions. So I'm just trying to figure out the questions that we have not covered now. Uh, Vinod says, I filled in and paid and realized I had not covered everyone. I'm not able to cover add-on. So I think we covered that answer. So you can reach out to us separately, write an email, and we will get back to you. We will make sure that you are covered and your family members are covered. Prasoon, will alumni stop getting covered after the age of 65?
No. So the entry age is 65. So for you to get into this policy, your minimum age has to be, sorry, your maximum age has to be 65. Once you're in this policy, it's going to continue.
Right. So entry age means the first time you enroll. The first time
Yeah.
enrollment is 65, and then later on you can, if you keep on renewing, you don't have to re-enter. So re-entry will
Right.
be banned any which way. So entry below 65 is there. I think for few. So this is the first year where we have made sure that every alumni is covered, and so now is the time when people will keep on, there will be alumni who will go beyond 65 plus. So make sure that you cover in the first year itself, so that next year, even when you are 66 or 67 after a few years, you are covered in this policy.
Right.
uh, if we have more questions, we can flash it up on the screen. I think we are done with almost all the questions. There is a repeat set of questions which are coming. If anyone who has not been answered, please flash the questions once again on YouTube channel.
Or else you can write to the IIMK helpline ID as well, and we will reply back.
All right. Billu is asking what is the Billu Rajan is asking what is the procedure to get cashless facility for an estimate given by the hospital above the base policy amount. So are the two policies
Yeah,
to be submitted?
you can do that. You can do that. So on the hospital, you will find a desk, where it's an insurance desk. So you have to go and declare both your policies and see how you want to avail cashless from both or from one, depending on the insurer being same or different. But your network desk is going to help you out there. In case of any queries, you can write back to us, and we can also deal with it on a case-to-case basis in helping you with the cashless approval for same.
Okay. Mythic is asking, is the deductible annual or lifetime?
No, annual. So you can change your deductible. What you can't do is you can't reduce your sum insured next year. You can increase it or keep it same, but deductible you can change. So it's annual.
I think the question, yeah, annual. So it starts, that calculation starts every year, right?
Hmm.
Okay. All right. I think we have answered all the questions. If so, we'll go through the YouTube channel questions once again later on, and we will make sure that we answer if any question is remaining. So, any closing remark, Bodhayan, in terms of how should we make sure that we use the insurance super top up appropriately? What is the last date of enrollment? And what are general practices to use the insurance and keep healthy?
So, in short, tomorrow is the last date. Please ensure you enroll, and looking at the kind of value proposition this policy has, ensure you get everyone in your family, whoever are eligible, into this, specifically your parents, your in laws, who normally will not get this in the market. And for that, you will also have to take that. But looking at the value proposition, the coverages built into this, this is a fantastic policy. And the third thing, look for a higher sum insured. Look for a higher sum insured. Upwards of 50 lakhs is what I would recommend. Rest is up to you to decide. Again, the fourth point, closing note, tomorrow is the last date. Uske beyond there is no other date. So please enroll.
There's one more, I think, additional point. A point I would like to add. You make sure that you keep all the invoices. You try to arrange your invoices, prescriptions, and reports uh, in maybe a Google Drive or somewhere where you can. So let's say after 6 months, you have cumulative made expenses of 3 lakh or 5 lakh, which is deductible. You need to share those invoices and prescriptions with your insurer when you make a bigger claim. So try to organize your data initially, and this is a good practice to have uh, to keep your own medical history as well for forever.
That's fantastic, Piyush. So, Mayank, would you like to add something to your alums?
Nothing much, Budhayan. You have done a great job. Thank you. And thanks to Anchit, Piyush, Rohit, and everyone for putting trust in Dropper to do this initiative for the IMK alum. I think this was a very long process. Started, when the COVID first wave came in, and we started discussing. Then COVID second wave came in, and that was a time when the momentum gathered, and it has taken countless debates, discussions, to and fro's, lot of insurance plan comparisons to be able to arrive at this policy, which is probably one of the best policies that ever existed in Indian health insurance ecosystem. So I will urge all my seniors, juniors, and batchmates to enroll in the plan. And IMKA is there; they are doing a wonderful job, and Dropper is there to support them. I'm on both sides. I'm on IMKA side as well as Dropper side. So I feel very proud that this plan has been launched, and I look forward to supporting everyone in as far as this policy is concerned. Thank you.
Yeah, and also one point here that I would want to emphasize: spread the word, guys. These are your batchmates. Reach out to every one of them, make them realize that this is something very good, and they need to enroll. Spread the word. Get as many people on board as possible. That's how. That is what the strength of where IMK lies.
Anchit, would you like to speak on behalf of the Alumni Association and give the closing remarks?
Sure. Thanks, Piyush. So, First of all, I'd like to just kind of say that, as Mayank said, this has been many months in the making, and COVID itself was something that opened our eyes to a need for something like this. Even though even before that, we've had situations where alumni have needed financial support in medical emergencies, whether for themselves or for family. And the alumni community has rallied, collected sums in the range of 30, 40 lakhs as well for single alumni. But one thing that we realized is that one, it is not sustainable. We can't go out and do a fundraise for every alum whenever they end up in a situation where they need some support for medical reasons. We've got to come out with something which is more, institutionalized, which is more systematic. The second thing that I personally realized, and I'm sure a lot of other alumni realize that as well, is that you might have a critical illness cover, uh, and you might think that you are well covered, but something like COVID and people getting hospitalized in ICUs for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, within the alumni community, outside the alumni community, made me realize that the larger sum insured sums is what we are not ready for. We all can cover the basic 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs. We can always do a quick fundraise if required, even within the same batch, and you will be able to get that support. But it becomes difficult, and even outside a critical illness plan, you could end up in a situation where you are uh, you know uh, you're needing those kind of sums. And I think it was essential to first, as Piyush said, tackle the largest problem first, which is the super topper, which gives a large cover for extremely rare but extremely problematic situations, and those situations which you would not have even thought of. I think that is what insurance is for. Uh, we do want to, and we do plan to come out with other plans as well, which would include a term cover, which would include an accidental cover. And another thing that we've tried, we've not been able to do it so far, but we would want to try and figure that one out, is a jobless or a job loss insurance cover, or or an unemployment insurance cover. We will need that. That is something where we'll need to be creative. But I think we've done something path breaking here with the support of the Zopper team, and we will continue to do path breaking stuff on the insurance front. I'm sure we'll be able to do that. Um, I think a special thanks to the Zopper team who've actually gone out of the way to create a plan which meets our needs and which meets our requirements, uh, giving us a cover which we need, meeting the objectives of what we wanted to do, and at the same time keeping the premiums at extremely low levels. Something that we've not seen anywhere else in the market. So thanks a lot to the Zopper team as well. But as I said, we would try to
वापस
get
अंदर
more
रखो हाँ
alumni as
इसको
well.
रख दो
Yeah.
In
Over to
last
you.
two questions, I think Anil had few important questions. So let's take it up for now. Anil is asking here, he already has base insurance with Care. However, PD condition has been crossed, and do we still need to wait 1 year for this top up? Yes. Any top up or any additions, the waiting period starts increasing. So if you again increase your sum insured, the increased sum insured will also have additional waiting period for 1 year. Uh, the in-laws are 49-year-old. Can we cover them? Not this year, but next year you'll get a chance to cover them. Sriram is our esteemed alumni. He is not living in India. So for alumni residing abroad, parents living in India, can this group and cover parent alone? No. You have to cover yourself as well, compulsorily. That's one of the conditions which happens in any group insurance plan. So request you to cover yourself. The cost of covering yourself and family is quite low. So I hope that that is a smaller cost to pay. So with this, let's close the session. Thank you, Anchit, Harleen, Bodayan, Mayank, Rohit, and everyone who is who has worked to make this policy possible for every one of us. Uh, So we will come back again with a more detailed. We will come back with a detailed plan, a documented sheet. We will share this presentation as well, and post that we will also share the detailed actual document with you, which you should go through. We will be doing. We will be giving you the insurance card, the login IDs for the for the care platform, and we will be sharing the payment receipts as well with you. We'll be setting up the process for the claims, so that will be shared in the detailed deck that we will share. Finally, we hope that we see more such, as Anchit mentioned, we see more initiatives around uh, other risks, job loss and life as well. With this, we close the session. Thank you everyone for taking the time out on a Sunday. We look forward to cover each and every one for you. Please make sure to make the payment today, not even tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.